Potts. Before we get on into the interview, I do have something I would like to say to everyone. There has been some attacks being made on Twitter to Kyle's lawyer. I just want you to know that that's not cool. Kyle's lawyer did nothing wrong. She was given a big ball of fuck and told to unfuck it. So Kyle's lawyer, I assume this video may be sent to you. I just want you to know, no hard feelings. You do you, and I wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors. But with that, let's go ahead and get on into it. How is it going, Benjamin?
Going good.
Going good,
Enjoying
going
this
good.
perfect Friday. Hooray for the weekend. I'm
Oh
ready.
boy. Well,
It's a long week, even though it was a short week.
I do want to start off by saying thank you so much for being here to speak with me. Absolutely. Just thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
All right. So I'm not going to uh, waste anyone's time. I'm just going to jump right on into it. So, Kyle Curtis, did he ever live with you? What's the story there? Lay it on me, as thick as you possibly can.
So that's kind of a loaded question because whenever it comes to residency, I mean, the short answer is no, Kyle never lived with me. Absolutely not. He stayed for extended periods of time with me, and I've mentioned several times over and over, very much overdue his welcome, long past his welcome at my house. But he never officially moved in with me. He never officially became a resident at my house. Whenever we started dating, he had told me, or not even when we started dating, but our first date, and like I guess maybe the first few weeks after that, he was referring to living in an apartment in Greensboro, and it even came up on that first date of how he was before our Tinder date landed on really thick. Now that I see backwards, but he was talking about how he was thinking about either moving to Raleigh or Charlotte. But now that he had a really good feeling about the state, he was like thinking about relocating to Charlotte and finding an apartment here. I was like, oh, good, cool, cool. That definitely eases my mind because I was like adamantly against having a long, distance relationship in the first place. Just not really my cup of tea. But after that, it just became like a very evasive, like, so, backing up. So once he told me that his lease was getting ready to be up, and then a few weeks later, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, he was apparently, and all this comes through him, he was apparently moving out of his apartment and back into his mom's house, which continued to be his full time residency through the entire time that we dated. It was always referred to as home. It was always him taking a trip to my house, coming back and forth to visit me, but it was never his address.
How long did he stay with you?
Well, he would stay sometimes just a few days, 2 or 3 days, and then other times like up to a week. And I even told him this, like whenever we started having issues in our, relationship, very early on, well before I think is a healthy stage to start having issues. I even told him I was like, well, I'm not going to blame it on either one of us. I'm just going to tell you, like, I'm not one of those people that looks for normalcy or the stereotype to get a sense of, security. But I will say that the normal progression of how these things work is you meet someone, you figure out you're going to start, developing something deeper than just a friendship. They would stay with you maybe a night or two, and then whenever, or maybe even a week. But once somebody has the need for space, they have the option of going across the city to their home, or going home wherever home fucking exists, or having the option to tell you I need some space.
Yeah.
But it became this point where I was just like completely not able to ever have that conversation with him because it was either like in my mind now looking back, it was a deceptive like way of just kind of overstaying his welcome. He didn't have a means of transportation to Charlotte from Greensboro, which is about an hour and a half away. So he'd always he started, very early on taking the train into Charlotte, and I would pick him up. And then I worked in, 9 to 6 job, daily. And so I would leave for work, and he was supposed to go home that day, once again referred to as home. And I would get a text message at work like I overslept and I missed the train. and then it would become another day, and then it would become another day until I was finally like, I will fucking drive you home if I need to. I just
Ouch.
need like, and I mean, not always that aggressive. It's just like me kind of like, I don't mind driving you home. Like, you know how, relationships, you want to kind of, you don't want to be the asshole all the time, but it
Yeah.
was a very toxic situation.
Yeah, so
But
so he would overstay his welcome. You would get frustrated with it, and he just wasn't getting the hint that no
no,
means no, and you needed your space and stuff like that.
no, not at all.
And
It was
his mother's place was always referred to as his home.
his home. Yes, it was always his permanent residence. He never moved any furniture into my house. Never moved. He would bring like overnight bags, and then he would leave them there, and he'd bring another overnight bag and leave it there. Um, but it was, or he would go out while I was at work and like shop, and get clothes and bring them there. Sometimes take them back, sometimes leave them there. But he never. It was never his home. It was always mine. It was always, um, and it was always kind of like that familial situation, like when do you want to see me, when do you want me to come back, or I'm going to come back this day, is that okay? It's not like if you live somewhere, you don't sit there and ask somebody, is it okay if
Hmm.
I come visit? That's not your fucking home.
Yeah, if
Like,
you live somewhere, you're not going to ask permission to go through your own door. I see
yeah,
what you're saying.
exactly. Yes.
Yes. Now, with Kyle doing the shit that he was doing around your place, I guess it's safe to say that you never gave Kyle permission to like mail his shit to your house as if it was his address.
No, I never really gave permission like verbatim like that. There was a very small period of time. It was around the February, January timeframe. So kind of backing up a little bit, I originally, whenever met Kyle, I had a roommate already living with me, and he was in a graduate program, and his graduate degree was supposed to be over in December. And so December rolls around, and Kyle, of course, always has to have, he just has a way of like whenever he's not the center of attention, or he's not, getting what he wants, he has a way of kind of isolating people or making them feel uncomfortable. And my roommate was one of those. And not whether I got along with him or not, which I did. We had a very plutonic relationship, but he ultimately was uncomfortable with Kyle being there all the time. And I even told Kyle whenever we first started dating, I was like, it's unfair to me have someone here all the time whenever I wouldn't let my roommate do that. So, anyways, neither here nor there. After he moved out, I was still trying to work on this relationship with Kyle, and I had this very honest conversation about like, I know that you were uncomfortable with my last roommate, but financially I'm in a position where I need that extra income. And he offered various means of like offsetting the cost of me not getting another roommate. But it was never in context of him actually doing it to pay rent. It was for him to help me out as his partner so that we had the freedom to enjoy our space together.
I see.
Um,
So just to make sure I understand, so I'm not moving in just yet, but I'm willing to give you some coin to at the very least reserve the room.
Yeah, exactly. And then it came to around the February timeframe where, oh well, and that was actually a very big red flag because he couldn't even give me what he was offering to hold off on looking for another roommate or advertising my space because he would promise things and then they never came through. And so I was already hesitant. I was like, if you can't even fucking do what you've said you're gonna do, I definitely don't trust you to take this on permanently. And so there was a very brief window of time where we had talked about him moving in, and literally right after that, I was like, this is not going to work. Like, I can't live with you. There's a whole aspect of like, I can't trust you. I don't think you're a man of your word. And then there's the whole aspect of the fact that this is the best way to destroy, if we're trying to even build our relationship, this in my mind is the best way to destroy that. Moving in too quickly. I already can't stand like over a few days with you because inevitably there's going to become one of these volatile moments where I'm going to feel like I'm being manipulated, and then it just became World War Three or World War Four or whatever.
Would it be fair to say that he was bulldozing? Is that
Yes,
is that fair to say?
yes, he was definitely a bulldozer. He's definitely manipulated. He's very passive aggressive in things. That's one of the things that I really, it's one of my biggest pet peeves because with passive aggressive people, it's one of those things you can't ever prove because it's all about what somebody means by something. but you can't prove it because of the words that they're using, and I can't stand that. And
Yeah.
it was all of those things combined. So
I understand. I understand that. And by the way, a lot of people in the live chat are saying the exact same thing. They all are sorry to hear that you went through that, and one of them said that you're very hot. So just throwing
oh,
that out there.
thanks.
So
Oh Lord.
it's okay.
Thank you.
We're all friends here. Well, most of us at least.
Well,
So
based on my experience with Kyle, it can be a label hot and broken, broken and shattered.
but one of Kyle's assertions is that he paid you. Now, you already went over how that was at in the best case scenario. The best case for Kyle is that that was merely to reserve the room. But do you have like a specific dollar amount that he gave you? You said it wasn't nearly enough to cover what rent would actually be. You don't necessarily have to give exact figures if you don't want to, but at the very least, it was clearly not enough, right?
No, I mean there was, and honestly, it just got all muddied and mixed in the waters because there was not only was there the whole rent thing, but there was this whole other dynamic with our relationship where I was always kind of swindled over. Like for example, he would offer to take me on these very elaborate dates to these really high-end places, and it became a running trend that every time that he went to pay, I was cringing because his card was going to get declined, and then I'm going to be left footing the bill, which was hugely embarrassing for
Are
me.
you
It wasn't
fucking
even
serious right now?
it,
He would invite you to these restaurants, and then you would be the one ending up paying.
yes, whether it be like a very fancy, expensive restaurant or just a bar tab, it was so embarrassing because I'm literally down income from a roommate, and now I'm having to foot tabs for something I didn't even ask for, and it got freaking ridiculous. But anytime I would bring it up, it was very hostile, and he would always make it seem like I was money hungry and I was materialistic, which is the furthest thing from the truth. I always told him from the beginning, I don't care how much you make. I don't care what, I'm not, you can't buy my affection. I like the only thing that I want is honesty. And whenever I'm left in that situation where I can't even make a scene because there's a tab that needs to be paid, I'm one of the people who ran that up. Like that's very disrespectful to me. And so back to the original question, whenever he would give me money, it was like, what is this for? Is this for the tab that I got stuck with, or is this for what is it for? And it was never clear as far as like I mean what it was for. And I would have absolutely not have ever taken it as a rental payment if it wasn't what I normally do. For example, every roommate that I've only had four in the last 2 years that I've lived here. Um, Two of them have offered to pay me cash for rent, which I have advised them not to do because I actually work in the real estate industry. And I've told them cash you cannot trace. There is no receipt that is given for that. And so I'm protecting you because don't give me cash for rent because if I weren't a reputable person, you could be taken advantage of. But now here I am in the alternate scenario where somebody gave me cash and is claiming that it was for rent, which was not the agreement. That was not it. There was an established like if you can pay me rent, then maybe this will work because I mean we're a relationship. I'm not going to sit there and treat it like a business contract, sign a lease with me. But he couldn't even live up to like the to like pay me back for dinners that he owed me for and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
all that to say, like ever, it was never established that he was moving in, and well, it was talked about, but it was never official, and he never paid me a full month's rent. So that's not even qualifying for his statements that he paid me rent. Never
Yeah,
did.
yeah. It seems like there was some serious trust issues between you and him. So I find it hard to believe that you would go through the effort of writing up an agreement, a rental agreement that you would sign and that you would give to him, and then you would sign all these paperwork, which he eventually submitted. ECF number 20, guys.
Yeah.
But that was not you. You did not sign those documents. You never gave him a rental agreement with your signature on it. That never happened.
Right. Well, that's actually kind of like ironic on multiple different levels because fortunately, like the way that I mean, I am, if he would have lived with me, I would have absolutely not done a rental agreement. If he was a trustworthy, respectable partner of mine, it would just been a familial like agreement. Thank God I never entered into that. But I did not draft a lease document, nor would I in that situation. I just literally told him, "You cannot live here. You don't live here," and there was nothing official about it.
That was illustrated through the text messages as well, because he said, "Hey, I need you to come with me to a notary to get this document signed that said that I live with you." And in the text message, you said no because that would be perjury.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And I'm sitting there in the back of my mind remembering all the times I literally had to yell and scream at him to get out of my house because he was in a very volatile, very manic state. And I was like, I like just go. I've never been in that situation. It's like you're here causing me emotional stress and trauma, and this is my house. Can you just leave? Like
it really got that bad, huh?
it was that bad. I mean, it was horrible to the point that I literally left for a weekend to go stay at my parents with him in my house, sending me threats that I was going to come back to who knows what kind of damage in my house. And I was so over just that whole toxic situation that I literally didn't care how much destruction he did in my house. I just needed to remove myself from that situation. And I was literally, get the fuck out of my house.
Now, did it ever get to like a screaming match, or was this like over the phone, text message, that kind of thing? Like, was he actually in your house and you're like, "Look, you got to go, dude."
Yeah, he was very hostile at times. Yes. I mean, we both were. I mean, I'm not going to paint myself as a
Yeah.
saint, but very early on, I realized that if I got defensive, it just built his defensiveness and his aggressiveness towards me. So then I would just like not respond, but it would create the same result. It was like, okay, I'm not going to deal with you whenever you're in this state. And I know that this feels like a fucking episode of Oprah or Dr. Phil, but I've never been caught in a situation like that. It was
I would say closer to the Maury show.
right. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's kind of like the kind of celebration that happens when a newfound daddy is found on the Maury show.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that kind
Anyways,
of a train wreck.
but back to your original statement, like that lease document and that affidavit that had my signature on it apparently was I didn't even know about that until last week whenever I was at my parents. I was like, that's not even my signature. And it was ironic to me that it was produced after he had asked me to go get this notarized or get notarized that he had lived with me, and I refused.
Yeah, so he asked you, you said no, and then he said basically, "Screw you, I'm going to do it anyway."
Well, I mean, basically, he didn't tell me that verbatim, but that's
Well,
basically how he acted. That's what
yeah,
he
that's
did.
probably how he acted. I meant sorry.
Sorry,
Um,
yeah.
but so with all of this, I guess I'm going to ask a very broad question here. Can Kyle ever be trusted?
No,
Not a chance.
not at all. Like that's the most ironic, you know, overarching issue with our relationship, and it literally is the entire world for me. And I remember even on our first date, I was like, my biggest thing is trust, and I don't go into things with a distrustful attitude because I feel like I don't I put myself in the other person's shoes, and I don't want to sit there and have to feel like I need to build something that I haven't broken. I my way, and everybody's wired differently, but my thing is like I need to be with somebody that I trust. And if I can't trust you, then that is like literally what breaks my feelings or just my attachment to you. And the stupid ironic thing is that I literally lived through that for a year because he would literally lie about the most simplest things that didn't even make any sense to me. And I would always try, but he would always bring it back to like, well, I would never do this. I was like, if you're lying about something so minute and simple that it doesn't even make sense to me, I definitely can't trust you not lie about the big things. So I mean, everything in his life was a lie to me, but I don't like it was always I don't have the way to prove it. Like, you know, the fact that he never had a car, but then apparently at one point he had a car, but I never saw it. I'm like, why am I still picking you up and taking you places and stuff like that? If you have a car, why are you not using it?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Well, we're talking about Kyle, and it seems like he was broke, which people can be down on their luck for whatever reason. But did he ever talk about like revenue that he would get from the non sequitur show that he was helping produce?
no, he would allude early on when we first started dating, he would allude to the fact that it was a very successful. channel, and that him and Steve had built this, and they were making, very decent money from it, but he never really discussed like the monetary value with me. I mean, he would reference that there was money that would come through not just the fans and the followers, but through the merchandise, which is, in his words, all his, and that he did, and the different like ads and stuff like that. Because I didn't know anything about YouTube and how you make money from that, so it's more like just me like asking questions, and he would like educate me. But he never mentioned like an overall monetary amount. The only thing he would talk about is how many followers the channel had and how that equated to a lot of revenue. He even at one point, back whenever we were having this discussion about me losing a roommate, he had offered to link up his funds that he was receiving from YouTube to my account to offset the cost of me not having a roommate, which, first of all, never happened. Past that conversation, it never happened. I didn't even agree to it. He just said he was going to do it. I was like, you don't need to do that. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And like, I just need to know where I'm going with this. Am I getting another roommate? But I'm not asking for money. That's basically where I was at.
Yeah.
But he did reference that, but he never mentioned a monetary amount. And once again, it was like a literally like one-off thing. He mentioned it, and then it was never spoken of again.
All right, and that leads to my second question. So, Kyle has said in the past that quote Steve, his co-host, Steve is going to get all the money that is owed to him. I have it stored away in a piggy bank. To the best of your knowledge or guess or whatever, do you believe he has any money left whatsoever from that endeavor? Like
I
if there was a judgment and it said that you need to pay Steve McRae back for all the stuff that you screwed him out of, he doesn't have a penny left to give him.
I honestly don't know because my initial reaction, or my just gut reaction, would be to say no, he doesn't, because he never had anything with me.
Yeah,
Uh,
neither of us know for a fact. None of us can dive into his bank statements or whatever, but just the feeling you get is that there isn't anything in the tank whatsoever.
no, I mean, just solely based on the fact that he's bragging about making a bunch of money, but then your cards declined, and it was always like, I don't know why. And I was like, he's like, I know it's in there. I was like, cards don't get declined because there's money in there, Kyle. Like, how stupid do you think I am?
So, and this happened more than once.
More than once, multiple occasions.
That says a lot, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That
I
does.
know, and it's surprising that I continued to allow that to happen. It became there where I would like literally refuse to do things, and then it came back on me. Like, why aren't you letting me do this for you? I was like, because I know full well it's not going to be you doing it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is something that someone else wanted me to ask you, and I'm going to go ahead and ask it right here. Do you think that Kyle is, as of right now, kind of throwing his family under the bus?
Um,
It,
I mean, I would say absolutely, because I don't know if it's. I wouldn't. I'm not going to go so far as to say that it's an intentional thing. I just think that the life that Kyle leads, and I can speak from experience, very close experience, the life that Kyle leads and the universe that he lives in, he has this unrealistic view of how that affects the people around him. And I've met his family. His mom is a wonderful lady. I love her to death. I've met, multiple members of his family, and they're amazing. But there was always this like sadness with me because it's like you don't know who Kyle is. Like, he hides so many different facets of himself, and it's almost like he keeps different people in different boxes and contexts. And so the Kyle that I know, I'm sure his mom doesn't know, and I'm sure that his grandmother doesn't know. And it's like, I just, it's really sad to me because, like, inadvertently, you are throwing your family under the bus because we're all connected to you through you, but you're not the same person. And then now you're in a court case where you have my word against hers, I guess. I don't know. I'm like, she knew very well, like, that he was staying extended with me, but it was always his home. It was always his home. It was never him
yeah.
moving out of his mom's house into my house. And it just really saddens me.
And now, when it comes to him and this rhetoric of him moving into your home, you said that conversations were made, and he supposedly is going to show text messages of these conversations.
Yeah.
Now, to the best of your knowledge, is there any text messages that he could bring up that pretty much throws everything you say and toss into a shredder?
I mean, I don't know. That's kind of a loaded question because back whenever I was living in, you know, a world of where I was trying to make sense of being, I mean, anybody who's been in a relationship that's so manipulative and narcissistic will, I hope, relate to the fact that there's not an ulterior motive to your conversation. So
Yeah.
there's very likely there's probably a comment out there which would in out of context like probably negate that because like I said, we did discuss him moving in to my house at several occasions or whatever, but it was never agreed upon. It was never made
Hmm.
official. So if he pulls up a screenshot of whenever I was like, "Oh, would you like to move in?" or whatever it is that I said, that's in context
Yeah,
of like,
so the context is that it was always within the planning stages. There was
yes,
there was nothing set in stone. There was no contract written up, and whatever contract he submitted to the court, that was not prepared by you.
yeah, exactly. And then you have the whole. I mean, I know that text message conversations are so much hearsay because nobody ever has the full picture unless you're the person who had them. But like there's also the fact that Kyle never made it a point to, and I know this now or after the fact, but he never made it a point to stress living with me until that was his stake for his court matter. Because that was what it was all based of, is that he didn't live at his mom's address. And then it became this whole big thing about, but on the other hand, I'm like, well, you're not like, first of all, we're not in a good place right now. Second of all, like you're not even fulfilling your obligations on a familial level, much less to be a resident of my house.
There now we're starting to get to something here. So basically, Kyle fucks over Steve. Steve responds with a lawsuit, and now all of a sudden it becomes a really big deal where your signature is needed. You say no, and then all of a sudden we have a filing with your supposed signature on it.
Yeah.
Wow. At this point, I want to ask people in the live chat, is it starting to make sense now? Is it all starting to come together? We have puzzle pieces and they're coming together and they're making a beautiful image. And that beautiful image is that, Ben, I'm sorry that you went through that, but I'm so glad that you're out of it.
Yeah.
And Steve was right. I was right. Cheshire was right, to the surprise of nobody. And yeah, that's wow. Wow. I mean, I don't think people truly understand just the nuclear bomb you dropped with not just this conversation but your affidavit, which by the way, thank you so much for working with us on that. But it means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to a lot of people that you came forward, that you're willing to tell us about this really shitty time in your life and go into such vivid detail about it.
Right.
I,
Well, I
I,
mean, it's really, I mean, honestly, I appreciate you, you know, in the sentiments and stuff, but, you know, the reality of the situation is, at least on my part, is that it's really sad that I'm even having to do any of this. And I mean,
agreed.
just brutally honest, like, if if I didn't want to ever be part of this case because this case started around the time that we had our first date. Everything that I knew about it was through Kyle, and everything I knew about Kyle was through Kyle. And then after this whole big getting out of that toxic environment, it's like, yeah, like I don't even know what the heck is true because every if people would ask me things, I was like, I don't know because I mean I would tell them what I know, but I was like, once again, that comes through Kyle. But it's just really sad to me because I wouldn't have inserted myself in this at all if he did not purge or forge my signature on something. And now it's like, what the heck? You would have had like an like, and I'm not. I mean, I feel for Steve. I you know I didn't know Steve. All I knew
Yeah.
was Kyle.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't have had any obligation to help Steve out
Yeah.
with this because it was his deal. It was always his and Kyle's deal. But whenever my name is fucking put on a legal document without my knowledge, then it's like, well, bitch, I'm going to speak up. And then, of course, I have to speak out. And then, of course, I'm having to have conversations that are very personal to me that I would never want to share in a million years between me and you. I would have been very fine
Yeah.
separating and just having you out of my life completely, which I've asked a million times over. But the fact that he kept coming back at me, not letting me go, like not harassing me over and over and over, and just the amount of emotional abuse that he has given me, even since cutting him off. And then to come to find out that, like, I have documents or there are documents circulating out there that have my fucking name on it. I was like, you asked for this. I mean, ultimately, Kyle brought this on himself.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. It's like, I would have just not been a part of this.
No, no, I don't believe for a second that you would have swan dive into this. Absolutely not.
I mean,
And
granted, I mean, I will say there was back in February. I know this has been a big, topic too. Back in February, it was one of those times that Kyle was so insane. And of course, my emotionally driven response was like, I just want him to be gone. I want to do that ultimate penalty that's going to get him out of my life. And so I went to Twitter and I knew that he was building this whole case built based on the fact that he lived with me. Um, and that's whenever I tweeted I never used Twitter. That was like when I set the fucking thing up. But I tweeted for Steve on his channel, like, this is not true. He's squatting in my house. I can't get him to leave. I think that was actually the weekend that I was not at my house and he was staying there and would refuse to get out. And I was like, fuck if I care if you what you do to my house. Like, just be gone. Like, I just want you gone. And like, if I have to remove myself, that's fine. Um, but then he threatened me, and then through various forms, like, got me to take that down. Um,
I see.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have been involved in the case. And that was the one time I tried to insert myself. I was like, you know what, this is not worth it. And I just really checked out after that. I was like, just get out of my life. Like, yeah,
I okay. So just to go back on it, I just want to highlight something you said. So there was a tweet made, and I guess it was to try and insert yourself in this case. Kyle got wind of it and made you take it down.
yeah,
And during that time, he was kind of fucking nuts.
yeah, the whole
Okay.
time.
The whole time. Okay. Now, you went ahead and shared with me some details that I'm not going to show on screen, but I just want to give people an idea of the craziness we're talking about here because you had blocked him on literally everything. But what he did to get around that was he sent you $1 payments through PayPal, and that would allow him to get a message to you. So the first question I have is one, did that actually happen?
Yeah, it happened that back in July. I think it was very random. Like, I mean, every time I would block him, I would be like, "Is this gonna be finally? Am I free?" And then I wake up on, I think, a Saturday, and it's like, you have $1 in your Venmo account, and it's like from Kyle, and there's this big long ass message attached to it. I was like, so now you've resorted to using like a financial transaction app to message me?
How many times did he do this?
I think happened continuously over a weekend. I think I was up to like $6, all $1 increments, and all different messages by the end of the weekend. It was crazy.
Holy fuck.
And come to find out, I didn't even know this until a few weeks ago that he didn't make it private. So now anybody who has my contact information in their phone can literally read that. And I was talking to a friend of mine that I haven't seen in a few months, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I know." And she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe." I was like, "What?" Like, that's like public knowledge. It's not. It's like humiliating.
Wait. Run that by me again. So you're saying that these messages that he sent alongside these $1 payments were sent in a way that made them public?
Yeah, like if you with Venmo, you can send a private payment, which will just be between you and the person you're sending them to, or you can make them, or they're automatically defaulted to public unless you actually specifically select that they're private, which he didn't. And it was just really embarrassing. I'm like, I mean, like now you're involving everyone who has my contact information in their phone in our like drama, which like worst case scenario for me.
Uh, that's wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, um,
There's no words to really capitalize
I'm,
the
I'm
level
finding
of insanity that he has.
I'm finding myself struggling to find words. It's like, how do you describe this level of fuckery?
Trust me. I mean, I've had to create it as its own curse word. Like Kyle is its own, like I can't describe it. It's just not sensical to me.
Kyle is a curse word. You know what? I think
Oh,
that
he
is
definitely
good.
is in my friend circle. Like, it's like don't. Yeah, that's the ultimate. Like, don't. It's worse
Wow.
than the F bomb, whatever.
I think that's going to be carried on. I think
Right,
that's going to be carried on because, well, quite frankly, it fits.
right.
It,
I
it
I literally looked at my friend the other day. I was like, get the Kyle off of me.
Well, we
So,
have here some screenshots, which again I'm not going to show, but I'm just reading them right now, and I'm just going to pick out like some highlights. There's a mention of a therapist that they text you to feel better about themselves. There's also something here that's like, uh, can't do it alone anymore. Again, I'm not going to read out the whole thing. These are just snippets.
right.
But each one of these snippets comes from individual messages, each one attached to a $1 payment.
Felt like a stripper.
Ouch.
I'm
Fuck.
like, damn. Is that what
So,
I'm worth?
yeah. Also, another person in live chat said, never pull a Kyle. So I guess that's going to be a thing now. Don't pull a
Yeah,
Kyle.
it's trending.
And that's going to be trending. That's now a hashtag now. So we did something today. We created a new hashtag because of how fucking insane this shit is,
Right. Sit the Kyle down.
dude. So we're gonna bring this stream to a close, but before we do, I want to give you the opportunity to just say whatever you gotta say. The floor is yours. Let me know. Let's do this.
I mean, like, I don't think there's really much more to say without just really just getting into once again back to a Maori moment. Like, there's literally year to the date actually, because it's when I officially was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
There's a year worth of like just so bizarre scenarios that I found myself caught in that I could literally like this could go on for that span of time just to describe them all, along with the feelings and the emotions and the bullshit that was involved in it. But ultimately, the only thing that I have to gain from this, first and foremost, is like hopefully just getting peace. Like I tried to separate peacefully with Kyle. I tried to be like, we just aren't meant to be together. I did that multiple times very early on. Like, I mean, literally, maybe even a month into our relationship, I was telling him we're not meant to be together, but his grip on me and that narcissistic behavior that I had never seen to such a extreme length, especially up close and personal, it's a lesson for me. And so for me, like not only do I want to have freedom from that because I know how much stronger I am and I can spot a narcissist like a mile off now. It's like don't ever come close to me. But I also want, other people to have that same, you know, to have that same awareness that this is like they will always make you feel like you're the one who's the problem. You're the one who's seeing things the wrong way. I was never allowed to question anything. If I questioned, that was it because that was my problem. And it was never like, I'm just asking a simple question. I'm not accusing, I'm just asking a question. So for me, it's just like, aside from the case, like, I definitely want to help out because I know Kyle. Like, it's sad to say, but like, I didn't want to have any stake in this matter because it wasn't my fight.
Sounds like
But
he was
as
gaslighting the shit out of you.
yeah, as a survivor of Kyle, that's my ultimate thing. Like surviving Kyle should be a fucking Netflix documentary now. Um, I don't want other people to be hurt by that too. But the sad reality, and it goes back to what you said about him screwing over his family. It's like nobody wins here. Nobody wins because Kyle's hurting the people that are close to him. He's already hurt me. He's already damaged me for a year. I am stronger for it. I can be thankful for that. But now there's other people that are going to be hurt by this. His fans, it's like I don't I can't fault people for taking his side, at least initially, because like some people, were like me. You're seeing things through the lens of what Kyle was painting, and Kyle. And I said this, I think last night on Steve's channel, and this is honestly how I've been able to contextualize Kyle as a person. He is a dynamic, just over the top, larger than life person on stage and or in front of a camera or at a distance, and he makes himself look so good. But the closer you get to that, it starts falling away, and then it starts not adding up with the person that he was back here and then the person he is up close, and then it becomes this very big, just dark valley in between that you get caught into. And I don't, I believe that there's been a lot of nonsensical, just for me. I'm not a law major. I'm not any of these things. I don't sit there and attempt to make people think that I know how the law works. But whenever somebody is taking advantage of somebody else, or whenever somebody is blatantly lying and covering up his tracks in a frantic, most manic way, I'm like, how can you have his side? How can you do that?
You
Like
know,
I,
we've been asking the same question for a while. You know, at the beginning, you might be forgiven for taking Kyle's side, but at this point, you have to have your head very firmly shoved up your ass to continue to back this guy.
right. I mean, that's the thing. And like, I never wanted to hurt Kyle. Like, as much wrong as he did to me, I never wanted to hurt him. I never wanted to defame his character. There is a million and one things that I could say on this live stream right now that would come at him. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not that person. Like, I don't get in those muddy waters. But whenever somebody is so manic and so just, I mean, just blatantly taking advantage of people and lying to people and living in the shroud of mystery, that everybody's like, what the fuck? It's like a puzzle that is separated into 10 different piles, and it's like you're picking up pieces, putting them together, and it's like they don't fucking fit. That's his life. It's
Yeah.
like, who is the real Kyle? Like, would he just please? And I want him. I want him peace. Honestly, I don't know. Like, where I honestly, after a year of being with him, I thought that maybe something would be the trigger for him. Like, I'm not this person. I'm not in, like, I'm a fixer. I'm an empath person. And I read a really good article the other day about empaths and their toxic relationships with narcissists, and not to make empaths look like they're the saints and the narcissists are sinners. It's just they don't belong together, and it's a very toxic situation to ever be in. But
Yeah.
Kyle literally takes that to the extreme, to where it's like he is not afraid to hurt anyone in his conquest to do his own agenda. And I think that's really sad. And once again, I don't think anybody wins from that because I mean, I hope we don't live in a world where Kyles get what they want.
Yeah,
But
go figure on that one. You and I see eye to eye on that, and you being a Kyle survivor, dude, wear that shit with pride. And I'm also gonna read you a comment I got in the live chat,
okay,
and
sorry, I didn't mean to do too much
no, no,
talking.
no, it's all
Get
good. It's
really
all
worked
good.
up.
I gave you the floor. It's only fair. But after I read this, we'll go ahead and draw the show to a close. And so let's go ahead and do this. I hope he finds a better boyfriend in the future. He honestly seems like a good person and he deserves better. Reds Rhetoric, please relay that message.
Whoever
So,
that was, like,
dude, as of right now, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for coming forward with your story. And to the rest of you guys in the live chat, thank you so much for being here. And I'm just going to say, have a good one.
you too. Thank you guys.
Peace, peace.